Join me as I share with you the compelling story of beer and its place at the mill in Vicksburg, Michigan, an historic paper mill brought back from the verge of demolition, now to become a center of music, entertainment, beer, and culture.
This area has a long history of creativity, music, culture. Really what we've done is we've made an attempt to build on what was already here.
In 2014, Chris Moore, who is a multi-generational Vicksburg native, found out that the beloved mill was potentially going to be torn down.
Nobody would ever want to see such a beautiful building with all that history be demolished.
Back in the early 1900s, the Kalamazoo River Valley made more paper and cardboard than anywhere else in the world, and it was known as Paper City. And in fact, in Vicksburg here, which is just a few miles south of Kalamazoo, we had the Lee Paper Mill. And the Lee Paper Mill was a huge producer of paper, made 17 tons of paper a day, and it's a massive building. It's 400,000 square feet, it's on 32 acres of land, and it was just a gem of the community, and it was the economic and cultural driver of this whole place. It opened in 1905 and then closed down in 2001. So just about 100 years.
A lot of people know about this place. Mill means a lot to the history of papermaking, for sure.
When it shut down, it was an incredibly sad story for the village. And like so many other mills in Michigan and all across the Midwest and across the country, it was, a huge loss to the community. He's very passionate about this because not only was the mill important to the community, but it was important to his family. His grandfather worked at the mill for decades, his dad worked at the mill for decades, Chris and his brother worked there. So there was a real intense passion and care for the building itself and also what it meant. And over the last few years, we've been doing analysis and talking to people and doing studies, and in the end, what we want this to become is a national destination. It will be focused on 3 major areas: beer, events, and music. We'll have breweries, we'll have a distillery, we're also going to have a brewery museum. It'll be a beer destination for sure. The community kind of grew up around the mill, and the two are really intertwined. They have a symbiotic relationship. The mill needs downtown, the downtown needs the mill.
We decided to start our own artist residency. It's grown into 2 artist residencies now. We've got one that is catering pretty specifically to visual artists, authors, filmmakers, people working in digital media. And we are doing a slow roll into a musicians-only artist residency. Right now we're in the annex space. It's a part of the former pharmacy here in Vicksburg. And we decided when this came available to us that we would create a space that was sort of a mini mill, something that represented the sorts of things that you would be able to see when you come to the mill. Added some art to the space. We've added 35 antique stoves, and we've added a pretty significant representation of some brewery memorabilia. That is getting people primed for the experience of a museum space that we're creating at the mill.
What makes me excited is that we are going to celebrate the regional breweries, not the big boys. We're going to show and tell their stories through their signage and advertising. Chris Moore is the founder and the brains and passion behind Old Stove Brewing, which has its headquarters in Seattle on the beautiful Pike Place Market. Chris is going to bring the Old Stove Brewery and experience from Seattle to Vicksburg here, and it'll have a presence and place in the restored historic paper mill.
Collectors will flock to such a destination place because it's historic and it will have the museum within it. It'll be a perfect place for seminars, for collectors to bring signature items to show off, and people such as neon vendors, sign makers, historians. It'll just be a perfect place with the theater areas and classroom type venues combined with the hotel and conference center to really have an all-encompassing, all-in-one destination place for these kinds of things.
A word you'll hear going forward is Breweriana, which is a fancy term for all of beer advertising and memorabilia.
Vicksburg is setting up to be the epicenter for United States brewing history, and it will be a perfect fit with NABA, the National Association for Breweriana Advertising. All the members of NABA are avid collectors of both Breweriana and history, and to have the mill as their epicenter or meeting place, NABA will have a constant presence with their marketing materials and collectors that live within the area that will be able to stop into the mill and replenish the displays and history, and they'll be a great partner. This has been done in the past, but the way that Chris and the mill are doing it, it's synergistic. It only requires the passion and the heart of the collectors, and the mill will be the place that they do it.
One of the things I'd like to touch on too is curation. We both have Mindy, who is a gem of a person that is taking in all these items, trying to wrap her head around them, preserve, package, catalog them, but we're also doing the equivalent or a parallel online. So you'll be able to go online, and whether you want to search by brand, cams, breweries, Fox Deluxe, you'll see the items that we have, and it'll all be cataloged online, the same with recognizing the collectors that we got those items from. So because you can't get here, or maybe can't get here for a while, go online. It's a huge rabbit hole of Breweriana.
It will be a few years till the mill gets built to the level of quality which is being done so far. So in the meantime, collectors can mosey on down to downtown Vicksburg and check out the artifacts which we currently have on display. There's a good variety of them, and they'll constantly be changing and be updated while we acquire new artifacts.
So if you have an item in your basement, a sign you found in your attic, something that grandma has kept, or a basement bar that's been neglected and you have some signs, we will give them a good home, a loving, appreciative home. We will restore, care for them, and we'll explain your sign in historical terms in the museum. And it will be on a grand stage at the mill, which will be here long after we're gone, but your sign will persevere and prevail. It's advertising, and it could not go to a better home.
Go to the website and contact us and try to attach a picture. The same goes for if you have questions about an item. We've got a huge group of collectors within NABA that are happy to lend their expertise and let you know approximate dates, values, and rarity of your piece. But we would be thrilled to see what you've found. So head on over to the mill website and look for the Brewery Museum.
Johnny Pfeiffer from the Pfeiffer Brewing Company in Detroit, Michigan. This is a lighted sign lit by a single fluorescent bulb made by the Neon Products Company of Lima, Ohio, a prolific advertiser and maker of beer and all advertising signs.
The large Hams metal billboard. I'm just amazed that this thing survived. Most of these got destroyed or destroyed by the weather in Minnesota, but this is a survivor and will be perfect for photo opportunities and history, because metal billboards like this from this era simply don't exist anymore. The Wiedemann fisherman scene. Collectors can sell their collections and they will be displayed and preserved in their entirety at the mill, such as this Wiedemann piece. Wiedemann Brewing Company was very close to the mill in proximity, and we will have an epic Wiedemann collection represented in Vicksburg. The 1930s Glick's window light. Glick's was made in Minneapolis, and to have a multicolored neon with the inset lighted since 1857 and the chrome rib deco accents being the only example known, this is a magnificent sign. The Genesee Beer water skiing gals lighted sign. Doesn't this just look like fun and make you want to drink a Genesee beer? 3 gals skiing in unison on the lake. I'd water ski myself, but I can't find a downhill lake. The Brewery's October Ale tin over cardboard. To feature the Mountie like this in an embossed tin over cardboard sign, probably from the 1930s or early 40s, the graphic beauty and the multicolored tin easelback sign, it's magnificent. The Wiedemann's Fine Stout chain link frame sign. This is a glass sign, multicolored, with a chain link frame going around it. Very early, beautiful, multicolored, from the Geo Wiedemann Brewing Company in Covington, Kentucky. The Sioux Brewing and Malting Company's self-frame tin sign. The collector that sold us this upgraded this sign, but it's rare to find an example, period. This has a magnificent brewery scene with the waterfall going in front of it, and this will be a wonderful addition to the few pieces that exist from South Dakota. The 5-foot-tall 1930s era Glicks beer stand-up cardboard. She's die-cut, multicolored, carrying a tray full of full Glicks beer glasses. This also exists in an 18-inch version, but to find this 5-foot sign still existing in this condition is tremendous. The Drury's Beer Bullet Lights. These bullet lights are so named because the milk glass is shaped like a bullet. These are so prone to damage. The edge is usually chipped. They're very fragile, but these multicolored bullet lights are real treasures. To exist in this condition and representing Drury's Beer, which is a favorite of the mill because of its close proximity to Vicksburg.
Here's one that I recognize up here in the archives that I sold Chris myself, and this is beyond cool, I feel. Breweries would often commission illustrators, whether they be employed by the ad agency or not, but this is actually an original artist's oil. I imagine in the old days this probably took a good week to paint this with the highlights on the shotgun and the plaid and his Norman Rockwell type cherubic cheeks and smile. Wouldn't you want to drink an Old Style after seeing this? But this is the kind of stuff that we're seeking for the mill, the one-of-a-kind, the one-offs, and this is truly a unique piece.
We're going to be celebrating the building, the people, the machines, the processes, everything that happened in that building in the past. It's going to be a curious place for curious people, and that there will be surprises at every turn. And I think the way we're designing it, the way it's turning out, it really will be one of those places that you'll go to and tell all your friends and say, wow, who knew in Vicksburg, just a little south of Kalamazoo, that you could be in such a beautiful place and have so much fun and want to go back to again and again.
Like the old girl in the place. It's meant a lot to a lot of us. There's been a lot of people that have retired from this machine, that have worked on this machine all their lives. And, it's kind of sad to see the thing go. And, a lot of us will miss it. A lot of us will miss the camaraderie of the people that we work with on this machine.